folks. Welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I'm so excited today to welcome back a guest to today's show, Mya Lowe. You've seen her on Yellowjackets, My Life with the Walter Boys. Today we're talking about her role in Murder in a Small Town. Thank you so much for coming back on the show today, Mya.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm always happy to chat with you, Pat.
You're very welcome. Yeah, like we were saying before we jumped on, it's been a pretty busy and crazy time for you these past few years. And I got to check out, the first episode of Murder in a Small Town, and I wasn't expecting the first one. It was like an hour, like hour and a half on at least like on Fox. I don't know if like the runtime maybe a little bit shorter, like on Hulu or something, but hour and a half. I was like, wow, this is like a full length movie that we're getting here to start off the series. So yeah,
Yeah.
can you just kind of talk about, going for the role, kind of like what had you interested in this project and just this character, initially?
Absolutely. Yeah, playing Edwina, it was not something I expected to do. I remember when I got the breakdown, the self tape, and I looked at the description and I was like, oh, there's no way they're gonna pick me, but I'm gonna go for it because this is so different from anything I've ever done. If anyone's seen my work, I usually play like a 15-year-old in high school. So now playing this 29-year-old woman is a cool opportunity, and I just wanted to take it and see what happened. And yeah, fortunately, I was able to get the role, and it was an adjustment at first, but it ended up being such an incredible experience, getting to play her and discover more about her. I didn't know too much about what her storyline would be. It was more of something that I was going to figure out as we got more scripts and I chatted more with the writer. But I am really, really grateful that I got that audition and that I went for it anyway, because here I am, and I feel really, really, really thankful.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's kind of cool too that you're kind of finding out more about the character. You're almost along like that same journey with her, as you're filming, rather than getting everything necessarily right up front. And what did you just kind of do to build out, your character as you were kind of learning more about her? Did you give, which I know we've only seen like the one episode like so far, but did you give her kind of like any kind of backstory or anything like that, or?
Well, so physically, I knew that the way I carried myself as Edwina needed to be different from how I carried myself from Kylie and Walter Boys, or just me as Mya. So something I really tried to channel whenever I was on set was just how I walked. Even I walked a bit heavier with more authority. Even the way I spoke too, I kind of had this lower register, and I would say like it took me a few days to kind of figure out what I needed to do in order to feel like I was Edwina. But now I can feel myself. Sometimes I hop back into it and I have this kind of authoritative voice, and it's so much fun. And yeah, with Edwina, I think going in, I knew that she was going to be a bit of a mystery. And but what I mainly knew about the character was just how hardworking she is, how professional she is, and how polished she is on the exterior. So it was really cool to kind of unravel that as the season went on, and as I learned more details about why she's there in Gibsons, and why she's in the position that she is now. I was able to kind of peel back the layers slowly and reveal a bit more and more about her, which was really rewarding at the end of the day.
And now where, she's part of the police force, I'm curious, was there any kind of training or any kind of like research that you did specifically into those type of, positions that you did in order to prepare for her? Was there any kind of like physical training that you also did? I know you mentioned, just carrying yourself the way that you walked around and stuff like that, but was there anything else physically that you did to prepare for the role?
Yeah, I did some research. I was watching some shows. I was definitely tuning into more procedurals because I knew that this was going to operate more like a procedural than anything. So I was watching more Criminal Minds. The women on Criminal Minds are very inspiring to me. I love how they carry themselves. They have so much strength and power, and that was something I really wanted to channel with Edwina, in my voice, in my physicality, in how I speak information to Rossif in the show. It needs to come from a place of, I know what I'm talking about. And me as Mya did not know a lot of what I was doing. So that was definitely a big part of it, was getting the scripts and breaking them down and seeing like, what am I really trying to relay here? And yeah, it was a challenge. It was new. But yeah, and also obviously I'm pretty active as it is, but working out and eating healthy was always really important to me. I wanted to always feel physically fit when I was on set. So, I tried to take care of my body, but still allow myself to have treats and do what I kind of want to do, especially on those long days. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it was nice. I was in this whole police getup, and that kind of helps to bring in that energy too. You're carrying around this huge utility belt, and I was taking it off between takes. To be fair, I was a baby about it. Sometimes it was so heavy, but just having that on my hips just kind of already made me feel like, oh, okay, this is different. So yeah, all those things helped to kind of form who Edwina was.
It's a lot to do though. I mean, because like it's like, you think it's like, oh, it's like a belt, but like you're carrying that thing around all day for, 12, 14-hour, maybe even longer sometimes with these shoots. It's like that can get pretty heavy, just sitting on you for a long day like that. So I don't blame you at all for wanting to take it off for like, little breaks like here and there.
Totally. And yeah, our props crew was awesome about that. They'd always come in and scoop it away from me, which was awesome. But yeah, even just having that kind of outfit on. I mean, I wore that outfit for so much of the show, and this is my first time being in like a uniform on a show and having that be my uniform. So it definitely helps to form a character by having all the wardrobe and the props. And in terms of training, we did do training just in terms of how to hold a gun, how to clear a room. There will be scenes of that. You kind of see little bits of it in the teasers, but knowing how to properly do that and then give it justice on camera was really important. So we did do some rehearsals of that, and of course I watched some videos on the side too. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing because it's easy, and holding a prop gun is harder than I thought it would be, and carrying it around and clearing a room, it's very technical. So having the proper people to like learn that from was really important, and we got really lucky with that.
Yeah, no, and I mean it just adds to the authenticity of the show. For something like a role like this, you want to make sure that you feel like you know what you're doing, because people that maybe are in that field, if they're watching a show like this, it would be very easy to pull them out of the series if it's like, oh well, that's not really how that would happen. So you guys trying to get it as accurate as possible, and then obviously just wanting to be as safe as possible with everyone working on the sets too. That's always important. And yeah, I mean, coming into that first episode, you kind of have a reputation with your character too. So like where you were just saying you wanted to feel like you knew what you were doing. I think that kind of like adds to it too, where it's like, oh yeah, she's kind of a big deal when we first meet her in that intro episode.
Yeah, totally. And as we were shooting, there was more things kind of being added, and more scenes we were having added to the show. So as much as like I knew from the beginning what was happening, it still changed a lot by the end of the shoot. And I'm really grateful that that all turned out well. But yeah, I kind of went into the show thinking like, okay, where did she come from? And I wasn't given that information on purpose until a bit later, because it was something that she holds her personal life really closely to her. Yeah. So in a way, I'm almost glad I didn't know right off the bat, because then I could just focus on, okay, what does this outer layer need to be right now? Because that's the most important thing to her in this moment.
That makes a lot of sense. So I'm curious to see how the story unfolds for the rest of the season for sure. And like we were saying, I mean, so and these are just like some of your roles. Obviously, you've done a lot more, but like Yellowjackets, My Life with the Walter Boys, now Murder in a Small Town, very different shows, very different characters. Now, I'm curious, is that something when you're looking at new roles, is that something that you wanted to make sure that you were picking roles that were very different from each other, or did this just kind of happen the way that it has played out for you, over these past like couple of years?
Yeah, no, it definitely just happened to happen. It wasn't something I was technically seeking. And, like I said before, like when I got this self-tape, there was no part of me that was like, oh yeah, this is mine. Like this is made for me. It's so different. But it was a challenge to do the role. And that's what made it so rewarding to finish the show and walk away feeling like, wow, that was like the most lines I've ever had to learn and the most days I've ever had to work on a show. And I survived it and I feel good about it. So no, I definitely wasn't specifically seeking it, but now I do have this kind of newfound confidence of like, okay, you know, no role is really like too crazy for me, you know. And it took me I had a little bit of imposter syndrome at the beginning, of course, as a lot of people do, but by the end I was like, no, this is my character now, and I have to own it and I have to claim it, and this is mine. So you can't doubt it anymore. And yeah, I've definitely an amazing thing that has come out of this show is me just kind of feeling a bit more secure in who I am and the levels I can play and the range I can do. That was like a really awesome thing to come out of it.
I love that. I mean, like just getting to, when we first talked, we spoke about, Yellowjackets, and then, doing My Life with the Walter Boys, and now this show. It's been really cool getting to see just like the trajectory of your career. And I can't wait to, obviously see what's next for you, more seasons of those shows like coming out, but even just like whatever your roles outside of those series in the future. It's really exciting to look forward to.
Totally. Thank you. Yeah, I feel excited too. And I think it's so funny, even after I wrapped Murder in a Small Town, I mean, about a month and a half later, I was in Calgary starting Walter Boys, and again, kind of getting into this other character that I hadn't been in for a year and a half. And same thing when I went from first season of Walter Boys onto second season of Yellowjackets. That was like a quick turnaround, and it's so interesting, but it makes it so fun. And then you don't. Yes, totally. You don't have too much dead time between. You're kind of like, okay, I'm in the zone now. I just got to get into a different kind of zone. Because of course, Yellowjackets is so different from each of these shows. They're all so different. So I'm really grateful that it's kind of worked out this way. And I'm excited too to see what other material comes up or what other seasons of things comes up.
For sure. Rossif Sutherland, who plays, like your boss, like in the series. I'm curious, what was it like getting to work with him, but also just developing that, partnership relationship between your characters on the series?
Oh, yeah. Rossif, I have so many incredible things to say about Rossif. From the moment that we met, we had a whole cast rehearsal / read through of, I believe, the first 2 episodes. And the second I heard him start to speak, I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. And then I heard him speak with Kristin, and I was like, okay, this makes even more sense. This chemistry is incredible, but each of these people are so in their element with these characters. And a really nice thing that came out of working with Rossif, I feel, is that we did form this really nice relationship that felt almost similar to the one on screen. It almost was like he almost was a father figure to me in a way. And just like Edwina, I'm learning so much by being around him and working with him. And he had such a hectic schedule on this show. He's learning so many lines every day coming in, start to finish, and he just killed it. And he did so amazing, like such amazing work that, it was such a blessing to get to work with him that closely, and even getting to work with Kristin whenever I got to. I learned so much just by watching her, and their presence in a scene is amazing.
Oh yeah, you guys had an incredible cast like on the series, just from like what I've seen so far. And speaking of Kristin, I wanted to mention, so you did get to work with her at least like a decent amount throughout the season, because I was going to ask, obviously me growing up watching Smallville, that was like the first thing that I think that I really saw her in. So grew up watching that. And then I thought in the teaser, you also see Erica Durance, which I don't know if like you got a chance to like work with her, but another Smallville alum. So I was going to ask you about just like working with, like Kristin too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, Erica's awesome. We had a few days together. Loved her. And yeah, Kristin, we did get to have some scenes together where we were, chatting. Most of them kind of come a little later, but I won't get too into it. But every scene that we had together just felt really effortless, and not only just getting to speak to another woman, but we're both ethnic, both half Asian, and having that kind of nice connection was really sweet as well. And Aaron Douglas as well. I worked very closely with him, and I would say he's like one of my best friends now. And that's a really awesome thing to come out of this show. I think I was the youngest cast on there, but it never felt like I was. I felt like everyone always treated me like an equal, like another, adult woman on set, and that only influences me to grow more and gives me more confidence in myself as well. So yeah, I mean, the guest stars are incredible on this show.
Yeah.
As well as the recurring cast. We got really, really lucky, and the casting was really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some of the best experiences getting that firsthand experience, like you said, just being around these veteran actors who've, done television and films and stuff like that for years and years and years, and just getting to kind of pick their brain on, certain things. I feel like that's some of the best experience that you can probably get just in general.
Totally. I will say Aaron is insane when it comes to memorization. And one thing I kind of learned from him, and I'm trying to implement it in my own little way now, because I obviously don't have my memorization like he does, but he can learn his lines in a blocking rehearsal.
Oh,
He'll
geez.
come bring his sides, and he will learn them then. And because they're so fresh, there is this like different presence he brings. And you'll see, especially in his scenes, that he is so present and so in his body that I see how it works for him. And it's kind of given me that confidence to be like, hey, you don't have to be killing yourself studying all the time. You can also trust yourself a little bit and let something be a little fresher on your mind. And yeah, so Aaron, I describe as a vet, and he taught me a lot.
I say, well, that's crazy. I know that's definitely something that's like sitting down and memorizing stuff that fast. Like I definitely couldn't do that. So props to him and props to you just for, being able to do that like as well. What I know obviously you can't say like don't want you to get in trouble going to any like spoilers, but what can you tease just as far as like Corporal Yen's journey throughout, kind of the rest of the season? What can fans kind of look forward to?
Sure. Yeah. I do think in the first episode, you get a good idea of who she is on her own and in her job. But I will say, as the series goes on, you see her develop these relationships with the other cast, and sort of who she becomes more inspired by. And yeah, I think her journey is so interesting because she changes as a person in certain ways and becomes oh my gosh, I'm like trying to bounce around it, but she I'll just say that she has a lot of growth. Okay. In so many ways. I think that she forms these really awesome relationships. I think that there's a lot of personal growth. I think that her priorities change. When she's sort of introduced, it's made clear that her priority is her work. Mm-hmm. And that is something that is kind of reiterated throughout the season. It's like you don't really get into her personal stuff because she keeps that on lock. Yeah. But that's not to say nothing comes up. Okay. Little things come up. So yeah.
That's we'll go with that. Like I said, yeah, I don't want to give away like too much. I've never I know because it's like based off of a book. I don't know if it's like a whole series. Like this was kind of like a brand new thing for me, but I know at least there's like at least one book. So I'm going into this thing like completely brand new, which sometimes like when I know a project is based off of a book or inspired by a book, it's if I haven't read it, I usually try and wait until after I've seen the series or the movie, just so then that way I can go into it not having any kind of like preconceived notions and just enjoy it like for what it is. So I'm really excited just to kind of see all these storylines play out, not knowing anything, expectations from like that book.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's a series written by L.R. Wright, and it's awesome. I read several of the books. I think I read every single book that is involved in this series. Okay. The writers did a really wonderful job of taking aspects of it and implementing that, but then also, having these new characters in there and taking bits and leaving bits. So I won't say it's exactly like the books, but there's definitely certain episodes are more similar to the books. Yeah. So it's a good idea. Yeah. If you want to watch everything for the first time and not know what's going to happen, then I'd recommend, watching the show first and then reading the books. The books are awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to pick those up like afterwards. Here's for you too, just like over these last like several years, how has your creative process changed at all for you or evolved for you over the years? If like at all, is it compared to like, when you're first starting out to working on Murder in a Small Town?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think as my roles have become more recurring, and there's more of an arc in them. My process has definitely changed. An example of that, I would say, was season 1 of Walter Boys. I didn't know where it was going to go, but there was a really wonderful arc that was written for my character. So I think that my process has changed in terms of how I prepare for the character. I think that I with Edwina, this is the first time I felt like I physically had to alter and change how I carry myself around. But it also kind of served as a lesson of, okay, there are like, this isn't the only character that I'm going to have to do this for.
Yeah.
And you can actually find physicality in any character that you do. It's just about what you want to do with it. So yeah, I think along my process too, I've just found more trust in myself. I think I've come in with more ideas, but also a comfort in not knowing certain things and just letting them play out, because that seems to be the best way to let it happen, is letting things play out on their own, letting the plot play out, and just trust that you can get there and bring the character to that space. So yeah, I would say the process is always changing, and I'm learning more. I learned so much from this show. I'm learning working right now on season 2 of Walter Boys. It's always kind of changing and adapting, but I think right now I can say I'm in a good place of understanding what I need when it comes to preparing for a character or learning scripts and things like that.
And like you said too, just yeah, that confidence that you said that's like grown for you like over the past couple of years with the different characters. And yeah, each character, each strip is its own adventure, its own, story. So it makes sense that it's, it's always constantly evolving for you. And I'm sure it's gonna continue to do so, over the rest of your career here as well. Yeah, I mean, you've been pretty busy just over the past couple of years that, we've mentioned, which obviously is great to have, all the work, it seems like you've been like constantly working, which is awesome. But it's also, I feel like it's really important to, make sure that you recharge yourself and, taking care of yourself as well. So how have you managed to kind of find that balance for yourself over these past few years?
That's a good question. I've definitely been guilty of prioritizing work, just like Edwina, prioritizing work over mostly anything. So something that I've actually started to implement over the last couple of months is just letting myself book little trips and going, even if it's 3 days, to go home and visit my family. I do it now. I think I'm past the point of feeling like I always need to be available for work. And in this industry, because yeah, things move really fast, random opportunities will come up at really bad times. I've started just kind of appreciate the time I'm spending with people more. So I've gotten to do some really nice trips this summer. Nowhere too far, just because I can't really go super far right now. But yeah. I've found that even just having those little times to get away has been really, really helpful. And being in Calgary, I mean, right now I'm living with Ellie from the show, and we're having the best time. And every day kind of feels like a vacation, because when we're off, we're hanging out and going shopping and just having fun. So Calgary, in a way, has been a really nice mixture of work and breaks. So yeah, I think I definitely say prioritizing more trips. I'm going to do that next year as well. I want to go to New York and do a big trip to Italy and those kinds of things. So I'm hoping that I get some time to do that, but I'm starting to realize sometimes I need to make the time to do it. So
hey, it can be tough for sure. I mean, I've been in the same boat, Maya. It's like sometimes you're just like, you're getting the opportunities coming in, so you kind of want to just keep going. You're like, well, what if they stop? So you want to take advantage of them while you can. But it is important to just kind of like sit down and just kind of take time for yourself. Like for me, even just like taking like a day and just kind of unplugging from everything, even if it's just going out in the backyard and just like enjoying nature, for a little bit, rather than always being like connected to your phone or, computer screen, TV screen, etc. So I totally understand where you're coming from, like as far as like that goes, but it's easier said than done sometimes for sure.
Yes, especially with, I think, where the industry is now after the strike and everything, there isn't an insane amount of work. So I'm really grateful to have had Murder in a Small Town and then to be on a show that has come back for another season, because that's not always the case. And I think that I have to be very grateful for that and continue to enjoy it while I can, because yeah, it's an unpredictable career, and who knows where I'll be in 6 months, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to handle it with that possibility in mind, but also just enjoying any time that I am on set or I'm not on set.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely enjoy it. Enjoy the little moments that you get. Um, I won't obviously not going to ask you like any specifics because I'm just going to say in general, as far as being back filming My Life with the Walter Boys, filming Yellowjackets, how has it just been like overall, like just in general, the experience of being back, like on the sets?
Yeah, totally. So for Yellowjacket season 3, I won't be returning. Sadly. Yes, I know. I'm sad. I miss the cast a lot. It's just due to schedule conflicts and having to be in Calgary for this show. I had to kind of make the choice,
Yeah.
but I'm very excited about season 3 for Yellowjackets. I know it's going to be incredible, and I still keep in contact with several of the cast, so that's been awesome. But yeah, just being on set right now has been great, and it's really nice to get to live somewhere else for it as well. And Calgary, I've fallen in love with Calgary.
I mean,
So
beautiful locations every time, like for that first season, some of the locations you guys got to film at, it looks amazing.
yeah, I mean, and I had no idea that it was like this here. And we're just getting into fall time here now, so it's going to start getting really cold soon. So I'll see how I feel once it's like that. But yeah, having all my friends here and we're all kind of going through it together has been awesome. And I miss my family in Victoria and I miss my friends in Vancouver, but I know that they're there and they're supportive of me. So I'm happy to kind of have my time here and then go back and see them.
Awesome. Well, and just to kind of wrap things up for you, Maya, as far as just, is there anything else you want to say about, Murder in a Small Town? Where can fans, as always, stay up to date, with your work in general?
Absolutely. Most of my updates you'll find on Instagram under my name, Mya Lowe. I'm really excited for you guys to keep watching the show. Each episode has such a different story and different guest stars and really cool characters. So I'm very excited to be watching it and also to hear about everyone's experience watching it. So yeah, keep me updated with what you guys think. I'm always happy to read it.
Awesome. Well, hey, Maya, thank you so much. It was wonderful getting to catch up with you today, just talking about what you've been up to, with your different series and work in general and just your life in general. It's always, a blast talking to you. And yeah, you're welcome back, obviously, anytime in the future for future projects.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thanks for having me.